Okay.
All right, Corona Daze Professional Development Group. It's me, Danette Edwards. I am here with Diana Roiniotis. And this evening, Diana is going to talk to us about mindfulness and meditation. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, can't. 1 minute. Sorry. Uh, Her presentation, Making the Most of Mindset, Mindfulness, Meditation, and Mindful. Look at me. I need it tonight, Diana. Hey, here we go, guys. It is me, Jeanette Edwards, the founder of Corona Days Professional Development Group. I'm here with Diana Roiniotis, and this evening she's going to talk to us about making the most of mindset, mindfulness, and meditation techniques. Diana Roiniotis is an IT help desk analyst. She has been practicing meditation for over 10 years. In this presentation, Diana will share mindfulness and meditation techniques that can be used in any situation, whether professional, personal, or otherwise. She'll also facilitate a short guided meditation during the presentation. Please come ready with any questions you may have about mindset, mindfulness, and meditation. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Diana, now that I have finally got that introduction going.
Hi, everyone. My name is Diana Roiniotis, and today I'll be talking about mindset, mindfulness, and meditation. And at some point, towards the end, I guess right before we'll do like questions, right before that, I will facilitate a guided meditation with some very nice Zen like music. So that's something to stick around for if you're interested in a guided meditation that I'll be providing you guys. But before I get into that, the first thing that I wanted to start with is to introduce myself. And in this context, I know that a lot of people watching this presentation have maybe seen my other presentations in Corona Days professional development group, so you're familiar with who I am. But I haven't spoken about this particular subject in depth yet. So, again, my name is Diana Roiniotis, and professionally, I am in the IT field. But one of my biggest passions and hobbies and interests is meditation and mindfulness and mindset, that sort of thing. I am interested in it from a spiritual perspective, a wellness perspective, and a scientific perspective. I find it infinitely fascinating what you can do with even just simple breathing exercises can seriously enhance your life. So, I'm here to speak on behalf of the benefits of these techniques and to also share with you some of the scientific benefits that we have seen emerge in recent years, especially now that people are kind of looking at the more wellness aspects through a scientific lens. So I'm really excited to share that with you guys tonight. And also just to share a little bit about my experience with how mindfulness and meditation has assisted me in becoming a better person and becoming a calmer person, having more resilience and ability to accept challenges, shortcomings, failures. So, I guess to start out, I want to tell you guys that I'm not doing slides. I'm going to do this more just from the heart and speaking from my own experience, like I did with my last video here. So, um, if there are any questions, I will be taking those towards the end. After about 45 minutes into this, I can open for questions. But um, anyway, one of the things that I wanted to share with you guys was to go into more of the scientific benefits that have been touted about meditation. And one of the things that is great about meditation is that it can, there's a lot of things that it's good for. And many people are aware that meditation can help you with anxiety, it can help you with uh, calming down your mood and being more mellow, but it can also help you with problem solving. And I think that's one of the biggest areas in which meditation has assisted my life is that it's allowed me to have more focus in my life and also to better organize my thoughts. Before I started really seriously doing meditation, I could never do this presentation. I could not sit here and have this. um, presentation given to you because my thoughts would be so out of order. I'd be zipping all around. So, one of the things that meditation is really good for is that um, it can help with having focus. One of my favorite techniques in meditation is to and this is one the reason why I like this is because you can do this anywhere. You can just stare at a wall and kind of pick a dot on the wall or something that you just focus on innately while you're staring into space. Zone into that and choose that point as your focus. And that becomes like a sharp attention to detail. And being able to do that in the moment, if you can train your brain to do that, and you continue to practice that exercise, it allows you to have a sharper ability to focus. And that can help you in more practical applications. And one of the things that I find very amazing about this is that um, studies have shown that it can help with things like attention deficit disorder. Um, and it says that studies have shown that improved attention seems to last up to 5 years after mindfulness training. So that supports the idea that a lot of these things can be long lasting. And especially if you have a practice that you come to consistently over a number of years. One of the things that's great about our brains is a concept called neuroplasticity, which basically that means that we have pathways within the brain. And sometimes, especially with people who, like myself, who have had an addiction or dealt with addiction, you have these pathways that are carved out to give you like rewards for servicing that addiction, if you will. So, one of the things that's great about meditation is that you can start to rewire your brain to have different pathways because of the way that you're sort of slowing down things and also rewiring the brain to just do things differently. So, one of the things that, um, sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here, trying to find the part that I need to get to. Sorry, guys. But, yeah, so, with that, it's very interesting to me because a lot of times we think that we're sort of, like, stuck in these bad habits and we can't get out of them, and I think that meditation and mindfulness really provides hope for us in that respect because there's a lot of things that we can do with these simple practices that, some of us may have not considered that, and, sorry, I'm trying to find this really quick. I had this prepared, but we know how it is. We all these things happen. So, okay, here it is. Sorry. So, there's a great article, or it's actually uh, in a medical journal, and it was called "Buddha's Brain: Neuroplasticity and Meditation." And it talks about how the Dalai Lama gave a speech at the Society for Neuroscience's annual meeting in Washington, D.C. And this was in 2008, so this is an older thing. Um, and it actually, there's some information about this from where I'm from, Madison, Wisconsin, because um, there was a program here at this place called the Wiseman Center, or Wiseman Laboratory, which is where they study brain imaging and behavioral sciences here at the University of Madison, or sorry, University of Wisconsin Madison. And so the findings found that um, over the course of meditating for tens of thousands of hours, long term practitioners had actually altered the structure and function of their brain. So that is what we would call neuroplasticity, is they actually carved out new pathways within the brain. So it's very encouraging that through going through that process, you're able to actually change that, because when you carve out those different pathways, that's how habits are formed. Essentially, is you have you basically it's kind of like we have this reward variation. So sometimes we'll do something and we'll think to ourselves, this is a bad habit, but why do I keep doing it? There's some reward there, there's some payoff for us. It's sometimes not really obvious what that is. It might be elusive, but there's something that the brain is like getting a hit of dopamine, or there's something there. And so being able to rewire those pathways is so great for so many different things, but I don't want to spend too much time on that topic, but I do find it very fascinating. So sometimes it's hard for me to move on from it. But another thing I wanted to talk about was the different types of meditation, because there's all different types of meditation. And I think that's one of the most fascinating things is that meditation can be helpful for issues with the body. One of the things that I've used meditation for is growing up, I never really felt like I almost felt like I was floating outside of my body somehow. So I've used it to ground myself back into the awareness of the body. And I think that's one of the most popular meditations is a sort of meditation where you will do deep breathing exercises to become more familiar with what's going on in your body. And that can really help with anxiety to um, get um, your thoughts, not have your thoughts on your intellectualizing and analyzing and go into the body and sort of relax with that. So I think that that's a fascinating tool that we can use to really decompress. Another thing is called loving kindness. And loving kindness is a very beautiful exercise that allows us to really recontextualize the way that we see ourselves and others through a lens of, I would say, unconditional lovingness. Because that's sort of what the aim is there. And it's also to see, not to see ourselves as being on the end of that we're sorry to people, but we are also forgiving ourselves, and that we're also seeing the person as forgivable as well. And I think that can be very helpful guiding through mediation with people and just different ways of viewing the person. One of the most common examples of this is called the Hopopono, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but it's a Hawaiian meditation that has to do with loving kindness. I'll share some links at the end of this. I'll post them on the event in Facebook. But there's all different types of meditation. There's also meditation, and this is kind of more moving on more to the mindfulness piece. Is when we think of meditation, we commonly think of someone sitting in like a zenned out pose, sitting there breathing deeply. But another way that we can utilize this same sort of strategy or vibe, if you will, is to do what's called contemplation. I like to call what I do, what I mainly focus on in my meditative practices, meditative contemplative walks. So I will go and take a walk, and instead of just sitting in a Zen like pose, I'm in a state of contemplation. Now, contemplation is different than, oh, I'm contemplating a decision. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is a sort of mindfulness contemplation where you're allowing yourself to be a witness to what is going on without eliciting a reaction, or I guess more accurately to say, without giving into a reaction or without being overcome by a reaction. You still will, a reaction will still arise, but you don't give it a, oh, this is important. You just watch it, you observe it. And this practice, if you practice this diligently enough, consistently enough, when you're just walking through a park or you're doing a non stressful activity, if you do, in my experience, if you do that in those sorts of settings, you'll get to a point where in your most stressful times, you'll be able to utilize that same observational strategy. So you'll be able to have a um, difficult emotion, or even for some of us that may have dealt with PTSD, a traumatic memory or um, something like that come up, and you'll be able to observe it and not give it a a reaction or a label or a name. So you may have this reaction arise, and it may be what we would normally call anger, fear, anxiety. But instead of labeling that, instead of going to that right away and saying, "Oh, I'm angry. Oh, I'm anxious." Instead of that, it's observing what is happening within the body. What is happening? What's the sensation? Is my heart beating? Am I feeling is my are my eyes darting? Do I feel like my hands are going to clench? But not labeling that as an emotion. And what happens then is that you it doesn't have that same pull. It doesn't have that same, at least in my experience. I was speaking from my own experience, but I've known others who have worked with this, and the common theme is that it sort of takes away that heaviness from those emotions and those reactions so that you're able to really sort those things out. And when we're working through stressful situations, one of the things that we want to have on our side is a clear focus, a clear head, right? So we don't want to give in to those emotional knee jerk reactions. We want to be able to have that calmness and that ability to sort things out. So if we're not giving in to this emotion of fear or this emotion of doubt or this emotion of anger or this emotion of sadness, and we're just allowing it to arise, observing it and letting it go, we're able to really get to sometimes where we need to use the logical part of our brain in these situations. So I think that that can be very helpful. And none of these things happen overnight, but I think the real encouraging thing is that they even exist, because years ago I never would have thought that I could overcome just freaking out. Years ago, before I started really getting into this on a deep level, I never would have thought that I could have a situation that I perceived as this angers me and just let it go. I never would have thought I would be able to do that. So I just want to say, if you're sitting here listening to this and like, oh yeah, right, it's possible, but it takes consistency over time. And one of the things that I think that we can all benefit from, no matter how often we want to use these techniques, is just to be more aware of what's going on within ourselves. And I think one of the things that we have sort of missed out on in our sort of fast-paced life, where we're on these phones or on these devices, is that sometimes we don't need to go through the full experience of, okay, I felt this way and then I posted about it and then we can sit with something. We don't need to, it seems like we're always trying to get to the next. We're always trying to post this, we're trying to edit that, we're trying to, do this. But sometimes you just need to sit with it. You just need to sit with that feeling, that sensation, and allow it to arise. I think one of the problems that we have, and I say we, I mean as a society as a whole, is that we tend to repress and we tend to be very resistant to certain things. And we see this in our world, where it's like certain things like, no, 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 don't talk about that, don't do that, don't acknowledge that, stay away from that. And we do that within ourselves. So we have a negative emotion, and it can be subjective. So what you may find as a negative emotion that you don't ever want to deal with, I may say, yeah, let's let's go right into that. But I may have an emotion that I stuff down, that I say, ooh, 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 I don't like that. So, one of the techniques that I like to use for sort of these negative emotions is really to look at, and this goes into more of a mindfulness piece of an awareness for wellness, is that if we can identify something out in our world that upsets us or annoys us, it's likely that there's something that we see that within ourselves and it's usually on the repressed side. So, for an example, one of the things that I have struggled with in the past is anger, not being able to express my anger. And then when I did, I would just blow up. I would just, you know, blow over like a volcano is what I'm doing here. So I would just erupt, right? And so I had to learn how to manage that. And that's part of the reason why I love meditation and mindfulness, is because I'm able to um, get to a point where I can manage my anger. And that's been so significant for me. But anyway, one of the things that I would identify in other people is if they're rude, if they're angry, if they have an attitude, and it would upset me. And I realized that at some point I was not allowing myself to experience what we would call anger. I was repressing it, I was stuffing it down. So, one of the ways that we can work through this in meditation is to sort of, instead of putting this away, we allow it to arise. And we want to have this in a safe space. So we want to do this in a private location and somewhere where we can be vulnerable with ourselves. But really allowing these things to come up, and when we get the urge to stuff it back down or repress that energy, to just allow it to overflow in the moment, but not necessarily to react to it. It sounds contradictory, but if we let it flow, we'll be able to observe it and it will eventually run its course. So that's the thing, is emotions, they only have so much pull. They only have so much energy to run. Now, that doesn't mean that you might not have a lot of that stored up. You might have a lot of energy to run through for whatever it is, but it's very helpful, I think, to be able to look at these things. Now, one of the things I guess I'll put as, or I will put as a sort of warning or trigger warning or advisory, is that meditation as a process is something that not everyone is necessarily ready for on that deep emotional level. That might be something that you want to speak with a professional about if you're having a serious traumatic history or dealing with serious trauma in your life. It's something that you may want to consider speaking with a professional about, because sometimes it can bring up things that are very hard to deal with. And if you're already coming from a place where you're not really able to deal with those things, it might be best to focus on meditations that have more to do with just sensations, and just maybe even visual meditations where you go to a beach. And that's another form of meditation, is a guided meditation. There's a lot of them on YouTube that are just serene and beautiful. One of my good friends, his name is Paul, and he has made many beautiful meditations. Some of them are more spiritually or religious in nature. So he has one where you take a walk with Jesus, but he is pretty open minded. So he'll say, you can substitute that Jesus for whatever figure, whatever religious or non-religious figure that you wish. But it's a beautiful meditation in that it takes you on this journey with this trusted friend, and you're able to feel this place of love and vulnerability with someone and in your mind. And for a lot of us, that can be very important. And we may not get that experience in our day to day physical world. So I think it's very beautiful what we can do with meditation. There's just so many things that we can do with it. So, um, pretty soon here, I will start the guided meditation. But first, I wanted to read a few more things, just good news about meditation and what it can do for you. So, one moment, I'm just looking here. So, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was about MRIs and how that the MRI scans can actually detect changes in the brain waves after, like, if they compare before and after someone has started meditating, they can see a significant, noticeable change. Um, so, one moment. So, I will read this to you. So I may be pronouncing this person's last name wrong, so I apologize in advance. So Desbordes research uses functional magnetic resonance imaging (MRI) or fMRI, sorry, which not only takes pictures of the brain as a regular MRI does, but also records brain activity occurring during the scan. In 2012, she demonstrated that changes in brain activity in subjects who have learned to meditate hold steady even when they're not meditating. The good news. Daze took before and after scans of subjects who learned to meditate over the course of 2 months. She scanned them not while they were meditating, but while they were performing everyday tasks. The scans still detected changes in the subject's brain activation patterns from the beginning to the end of the study. The first time such a change in a part of the brain called the amygdala had been detected. So this is great news, and I'll be sharing this too. It's great news that it's not just when this study shows it's not just when they're meditating, it's when they're out there doing their everyday stuff that this has lasting changes on people. And I think that's one of the most encouraging things and one of the most beneficial aspects of meditation is that it can really change how you interact with the world and how you perceive your own life for the better. There's just so many benefits. And I wanted to read a few more of just the benefits. Obviously, stress reduction is a big one. And that's one of the most common reasons why people will pursue meditation. Um, and it definitely is true that it can help. I think, in my experience, it's helped not only with psychological stress, but also physical stress. I believe that a lot of the things that we deal with are psychosomatic. So having a calmer brain essentially will really help us, I believe, sail through all types of weather. um, Another thing is it helps with anxiety, as I mentioned before. And I'll read about that, a study about that. So, a study found that 8 weeks of mindfulness meditation helped reduce anxiety symptoms. Um, and increased positive belief self statements, um, and improved stress reactivity and coping. Um, there's also a study that found that 47 people, that's not a huge study, but it's still anecdotal, I guess, at best. 47 people with chronic pain found that completing an 8 week meditation program led to noticeable improvements in depression, anxiety, and pain over 1 year. So that is really interesting, that it has that much potential. Um, so, another thing that I wanted to talk about was self awareness. And I think I touched on that a little bit, but I wanted to expand on it a little bit more. So, meditation, another form of meditation can be self inquiry, and that can be to develop a greater sense of understanding oneself on a deeper level. And there's many ways that self-inquiry can be done. One of the ways is simply to ask the question, "Who am I?" in a meditative state, and continue to ask that question, "Who am I? Who am I? What am I?" And really just sit with that question. And then certain things begin to arise in the mind, and it can be a very interesting journey. That is maybe not a beginner's meditation, although I guess anyone can try it, but it's something that I think you sort of develop on over time as you get more into meditation, if it's something that happens to interest you. Um, but in general, I think that even if you do even a guided meditation or any meditation at all, the ability to be more observant of your own behavior will arise within you, and you'll be able to be aware of really what troubles you. And I think self-awareness is sometimes it's underrated, honestly, in our society, our world, because with self-awareness comes the ability to solve our own problems. Once you, I mean, we have this cliche phrase, right? In the world, getting the addiction is the first step, right? But that really speaks to a self-awareness. That's, to me, that is what that phrase really means, is I'm self-aware enough to say I have an addiction, right? Or I'm self-aware enough to know this. To me, self-awareness has been a very interesting unfolding journey, and it seems like whenever I think I've just reached a higher level of self-awareness, there's something that's like, oh wait, I didn't know that about myself and I just realized it. But that's the beauty of it, is it's always learning. You're always learning and getting more in touch with who you really are. Also, as we evolve over time, who we really are changes. So it's an ever fascinating journey to be self aware. So I always like to encourage people to do that. Plus, it makes it a lot easier to deal with other people and yourself when you know what your problems are and you work on those instead of other people's. That I'm saying this as someone who used to give a lot of unsolicited advice. So, um, but and as I mentioned before, it can lengthen your attention span and and sharpness of focus. The quality of your focus as well can be improved. So it's 6:31, so I want to get to the guided meditation now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some music from my screen, but I'm also going to be doing some voiceover, if you will. And so let me go ahead and just share my screen so that I can do this. One moment. Share screen, and it's share computer sound. Okay, so I'm going to play this. This is from a website where I get music from, so I'm just going to play it directly from here. One moment. Okay, I have to restart this. Sorry. Oh, it's only 2 seconds and I can just play it. Okay. So I just want to make sure that this is equalized right so that it doesn't go over. Okay. Oh, that's too loud. Sorry. No, that wasn't the one I wanted. This one's a little bit shorter. So sorry. One moment. I have to play this one. No. Sorry, guys. Having a little bit of difficulty here. I wanted to play this one, but it's so short. So see if I can loop it or something. Guess I'll just have to play this one because this one's more like I wanted to do like a few minutes. So 1 second. Sorry. I'm just gonna download this and then just loop it. It'll be easier that way if I just do it on my computer. Sorry. One moment. Okay, I have it downloaded now, so I'll just open it. Sorry, technical difficulties from not being prepared for this part. So, the meditation that I'm about to facilitate for you guys is going to be a bit of a guided meditation. Oh, whoops, a bit of a guided meditation, so that um, basically what I'm going to be doing some guided imagery, and the theme of this is about giving and receiving. It's about the harmony between um, reciprocity. And I wanted to do this meditation because I like to teach people what I need to know. So a lot of times when I am facilitating, because I've done other trainings, and I do I actually do a study group that we talk about meditation a lot in there, and I like to choose something that is something that I'm learning about. So, one of the things I'm learning about is really the reciprocal nature of giving and receiving and allowing receiving to occur, and not being too giving and not being too greedy. um, so that's what this is sort of about. But what this is about, this meditation, is about an inner reciprocity when we can give and receive to oneself and therefore be able to do that out within the world. So that is what this is about. So without further ado, I will start us on the meditative path. Oh, still a little too loud. Sorry. Okay, here we go. So, To start out, if you're not already closing your eyes and sitting down, also, if you're driving or operating any machinery, please do not meditate or close your eyes. But if you're sitting in a safe place, in a comfortable place, please close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, imagine that out of where your heart is, your heart center, if you will, that there is a gift. It's a package. It's for you, and it's a beautiful present. It's a gorgeous present. When you open it slowly. You take the lid off, and as you take the lid off, you notice that there is light pouring out. And this light has a warmth, and it has a warmth like it's like cinnamon or ginger, and the warmth is pouring over you. And as it pours over you, it pours first into your, it goes from here where it's at your heart center, and it pours into your face, and it starts at the crown of your head. And as it goes down, it hits the tip of your ears, and it's this heat, this warmth, but it's a comfortable warmth. It's like sitting next to a fire. It's like those embers next to a fire, and you feel it, and it's going down the rest of your face, and you feel it. It's hitting your shoulders, and it's hitting down, and it's back where it came, back to the heart. And as you perceive this light, you look back at this gift that you've been given, and the light's still there within that box. And you feel as though you're being given a gift. But this gift is coming from within your own being. This gift is a gift that no one really could give to you except for yourself. Only you could give this gift to yourself. Only you could receive this gift. You could give this gift and you could receive this gift. So, what does this gift look like to you? What does this gift mean to you? How do you feel holding this gift that only you could really know yourself well enough to give you? How does it feel to withhold the warmth of this loving gift that you are giving to yourself? The warmth of this gift is still there and you still feel it. And it's not too hot, so you decide to touch it. You decide to put your hands around, and you feel a ball. It's like a spherical shape. And you can feel it. You can feel it take shape within your hands. And this is just a warm energy. It's just a beautiful, warm, comfortable energy that beckons you to feel safe and comforted and loved. There's just so much love in this sphere, and this sphere is full of this bright, of beautiful light. And you feel that warmth when you touch it, but it also feels tactile. You can feel it in your hands. There's energy there, and that is an abundance of love that you have for yourself, that you can cultivate more of at any time. Now, you want to be sure that you are giving gratitude for this gift. So you hold this, as you hold this ball in your hands, you bring it closer to your heart and you allow it to become one with yourself. You allow it to be absorbed into your heart center. And you feel that warmth, that light, that love, that unconditional love for yourself within your heart center. And you feel that expansive energy of that love within you. And you can give thanks to yourself. You can say, thank you. Thank you for this love that I didn't even know I had within me for myself. And then once you've given yourself gratitude for that, you can start to take a deep breath and slowly come back to the room, come back to the space. And you still can carry that love around with you. You don't have to let go of it. Even after the meditation, you can hang on to that. Okay, so it's 6:40. I know coming back into the room. Um, I know that I said I'd take questions at 6:45, but if there are any questions, I can take them now.
Thank you for that, Diana.
Sure.
Yeah, I needed that meditation. You know, today was interesting. So let me look into the chat and see if we have any questions.
Oh, I can stop
Yeah,
sharing this.
the contemplative meditation. That's what it's called. I think that's my so my Bikram yoga is a 90-minute moving meditation.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've heard of
I
that.
think that
Cool.
and it's interesting because guys, if you have any questions, please drop them here. I have a lot of praise, so I'll let you Yes, I have a hard time with quiet meditation. Is guided meditation just as good? That's from
Yes,
Jerry.
that's fine. Yeah. That's perfect. I think that sometimes, I mean, I've heard people say, "Oh, this isn't meditation." Some people are like purists. To me, I think meditation has so many benefits no matter what type you do. It's to me, it's all about finding what works for you. That's my opinion about it. So I think that's great. Guided meditation is wonderful.
Yeah, I think so too. There was a time after 9/11 um, where I was trying to meditate, like, because I was at 9/11. I was trying to meditate.
Mm.
And it was my first real experience in meditation. And I got a Deepak Chopra book
Yeah.
and was trying so hard to be still and quiet, and it just wouldn't
Yep.
work. And I was like, this doesn't work. And I left it alone for years. I never ever tried
Yeah.
to meditate again because it was just like, oh, this is for somebody who's already there, you know,
Right.
who could still their mind and still their body. So it took a long time before, and I like guided meditation. So I
Me
don't have,
too. I think it's great to fall asleep too.
yeah. And one thing, like they say, my Bikram is a moving meditation. I didn't realize. So when you first go to Bikram, after the first class, you have some kind of something happens to you, like
Yeah, sure.
right. So there's something that happens, and some people say, yeah, that happened, but that's not for me. I'm not ever going back. Other people,
Right.
it happens and they continue to go back. And is it okay to meditate laying down? Oh yeah.
Yes, definitely. I do it all the time. Laying down, standing up, sitting down, on a mat, in a bed, on a chair,
I
in
do
the
it
park.
anywhere. How does it go? I can do it anywhere. That's Dr.
Yep.
Seuss, right? Is that Dr.
Yep.
Seuss?
Yeah, I think so.
uh,
One of those books.
yes. Yeah, and then it maybe about after practicing about a month, I realized that what was happening to me was I was meditating, and
Yeah.
that was helping me to feel good. I mean, like there are
That's
all
great.
immediate physical benefits of it, but I
Sure.
realized that like it's 90 minutes. I would go through the whole 90-minute class and wouldn't realize it. I was just somewhere else. All right, so I have. All right, okay about that cat in the hat stuff. All right, so I don't have questions from the group, but I want you to go look at these comments when you can, Diana. So
Oh,
you
sure.
time for my questions. Thank you for coming out this evening, and I love this.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I love this topic, especially today. I told you it was a crazy day. I
Yeah, you needed
needed to
it.
remember.
Needed
Yeah,
the
I mean,
reprieve.
and I think some of that, like showing ourselves love and kindness, like we need to remember that because some of these busy days, like this crazy busy day that I've had today, some of it is my fault. Like if I was a little kinder to myself, I wouldn't have packed my schedule so crazy. And and so some of it is because of me. I didn't set myself up for success today. So all right. So our questions. So I have two.
Okay.
Uh, before you started to meditate, I'll ask you this instead of your younger self. So
Mhm.
pre-meditation, before you started, what would you tell yourself that you know now about this process of meditation?
Sure. Well, the first thing I would tell myself is that it's okay to have emotions because I've gone sort of in my life, I feel like I've gone from one polar extreme to the other, being like completely numb to being completely emotionally melodramatic. So
Mhm.
that it's okay to have emotions, but they have their time and place. And that meditation allows you to explore those emotions in a way that is helpful and can get the most out of that without being volatile to yourself or, on the other hand, repressing. So that is something I wish I would have known, but I'm happy to know now.
I'm glad you know that now. I think a lot of us struggle with that. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
society tells us either you come from a culture and a background that says you should have zero emotions, or you come from one that is very emotional and everything they
Mhm.
do is really, like I
Over
think
the
about
top.
yes, and then so you
That's
think
my
that
family.
yeah, that's mine too, and then you think that that is, like oh gosh,
Normal. That's
yeah,
just everybody.
yes, and then you encounter people who come from a totally different point of reference with that, and they
Right.
think, so that balance is difficult to find. So that's good. That's a good one. All right. So if we have one takeaway from this evening, Diana, what would you want us to take away?
Well, I would want everyone to take away that, meditation and just mindfulness and just mindset in general, a lot of it, can be helpful if we are willing to forgive ourselves and see past our shortcomings without denying that we have them. So we can say to ourselves that it's okay to have flaws, to love ourselves, and hear that part of ourselves, embrace it, but to also say we have control and we can make our lives better in spite of that. We don't need to, or not in spite of it, but with it we can embrace it, and we can really love all parts of ourselves, and I think that that is something that we can carry out into the world.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, this is blissfully. What is it? What's your tagline?
Oh, the my blissful bites.
Blissful bites. So we got all the blissful bites this
Yeah.
evening
Yep.
from Diana. And I appreciate them. Yes, I
Thank you.
definitely appreciate them from Diana Dimples. Dimples Desk. Uh-huh. Give
Yeah.
it all. That's your brand.
Yep.
All right.
Raise the roof. All right.
I love you, Diana.
I love you too.
So I can't wait for you to figure out why you want to come back, but you can come back. You know
I'll
that.
I'll come up
Open
with
door.
something, you know I will.
All right, then. Okay, so thank you. I appreciate you. Have a great evening.
You too. Thank
All
you
right,
so much for
then.
having me.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.